because it came in your head. That's what makes it more magical. You see, that's what makes it more magical. When something that pops in your head, spontaneous, that is the spirit telling you this is what needs to be done. So don't become such an orthodox person in the methodology of what you're reading and what you're studying that you don't put your own energies into it. Because after all, we are the ones that's living in this physical modern world. So therefore it has to have some type of our own energy to make that thing work. You see, to make that work. You see. So there's several things you can do. Let's say for protection. You can take black-eyed peas and put in four corners of the house. You see. For dreams, for better dreaming, you put a bowl of water under your bed. Now it tells you that you can create a dream or wake up in your dreams or deal with dreams by just simply reminding yourself before you go to bed that you want to experience the dream that you might have that night. You see, to give an example, how many times you didn't have an alarm clock and needed to be somewhere and you said to yourself, oh, I'll just set the timer in my mind and I'm going to wake up. You purposely said you was going to wake up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock so you could be somewhere at 8. You see what I'm saying? You purposely did that. You see. And you wake up. You wake up. So, it's the same thing you can do also when it comes to creative dreaming. When you want to be conscious of what you're doing. Now, a lot of people play a lot of lottery. And it is my experience that they didn't put these lotteries in most of these cities for black people who have this particular connection with numbers to hit every day. So, a lot of times when it comes to the lottery, it's still Russian roulette because the lottery that you have as far as legal lotteries are fake. A lot of people used to hit more money on the illegal lotteries back in the day. You see what I'm saying? Not necessarily saying that you can try to divide some plans, you got to stay out of it totally. But unfortunately for a lot of our people that's all we do. We figure when we want to get something magical, we run through the lottery with whatever we have because we have these particular dreams. You see. But remember it's fake, and basically they showed you in a movie called, I think it's called Lucky Numbers with John Travolta. And in that particular movie, they basically put powder in the balls that they injected the balls with some type of baby powder or talcum powder. They didn't want to come up, and the 3 balls that they did want to come up, you see what I'm saying, automatically rose, especially they set them on top, because the simple fact they didn't have the powder in them. So I say that to say that, you gotta kind of slow down when it comes to the lottery aspect of that type of thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play, but just remember that you're playing something that's not necessarily honest in the aspect of a random chance of you winning. This thing is designed for, and especially designed for black people to spend up all their money on the weekdays, and all of a sudden, white folks hit the big lotteries. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm not saying that you can't deal with it, but it shouldn't be the thing that you say, you're going to put all your eggs in one basket and only deal with that. You see. So, these are some things that you can actually do to prepare yourself for a life of a magical life, a magical living. Another thing you can do magically is food. Good food is magic. Yes, you can watch your diet and all of this, and sometimes we get too caught up. But if a food is enjoyable, or enjoying, you know the stuff that harms you. But I'm not talking about things that you shouldn't eat, like pork or these things or whatever. But you know the food that is, is safe for you, or the food that if you eat in moderation. You see, these are the foods I'm talking about. What you want to do now to make it magical is you want to change up the food when you eat. So what becomes magical when you give your palate, your taste buds, several things that's different. Your soul is a living entity, so don't treat it as if it's some type of stray dog outside that you don't need to give it what it needs. You don't need to give the soul what it desires, you see. Or like you feed animals over and over the same thing and take it for granted. Well, they're animals, they're dogs, they don't need that much of a change. And that might be right, but not necessarily humans, you see. So, a different change in food is very key. Another thing, you never ever cook food or eat food when you're mad. If you get in a funky altercation with the person that's preparing your food before she prepares your food or he prepares your food, you can literally get sick. So make sure that everything is harmony, at least when it comes to dinner time or whenever that person walks in that kitchen to prepare your food. Which also means that magically you shouldn't eat with certain people. You shouldn't break bread with your enemies because you can get sick. No. You see, so my point here is, a table is almost like a gateway. It's a portal, especially when you got a combination of different foods and you got a feast. Now, if you're sitting around the table and you got all this delicious food and stuff, and then you got somebody in there in the house that they don't particularly like you, or you don't particularly like, you're going to run into problems, because the simple fact is you are both sharing your energies around a table or a gateway. Within the movie Pan's Labyrinth also, in that movie when they told the little girl to go in, she cut a hole in the wall in the chalk and she went into this mystical world. And they told her, whatever you do not eat nothing when you in that mystical world, because it can be problems. Well, on the other hand, this is also what's happening, what will happen in when you eat lunch or eat dinner with people that you don't like. You see, you can pretty much harm yourself. You see. So there's several ways of magical living. Another way, music. Music is a sacred way of doing things, but you will always have your standards you grew up on, and things that you love. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't play those things, but you need to mix it up sometime with stuff that you're not familiar with. Because here it goes again. We all breaking this thing back down to melanin, which is the source of magic. And which is the source of magic. And even with music, it needs to experience different sounds, otherwise it goes dormant. So you can actually go to sleep spiritually by listening to the same thing or eating the same food day after day after day. You see, day after day, you can actually get sick. You know, there's so many rituals. So many things can be done. Just don't have enough time, but there's healing rituals and different things also.